What does Postman actually do? You guys know what it is, another tech dive. And today we're going to be diving into Postman, which is one of the most popular API testing tools out in the marketplace. This is a really nice landing page. I have to give a shout out to the Postman team over there. But yeah, Postman, according to this, over 30 million developers use Postman. I've been using Postman for years. This is pretty much how I call any APIs I've ever worked with. We're going to dive into everything you need to know, sending requests, testing requests, creating a collection, and then of course doing what we do best, rating this tool overall, giving it the people in tech treatment as it deserves. So what is Postman? Postman is an API platform for building and using APIs. Postman simplifies each step of the API lifecycle and streamlines collaboration so you can create better and faster APIs. And the way I like to look at this statement, great market. How I kind of interpret this, like Caleb King translation, Postman is a tool that I use to call APIs. And instead of doing it the old school way, which if none of you have ever done this before, which is using a tool like curl, super powerful, by the way, not hating on curl. You should learn both, to be honest with you. But really, curl is all through terminal. And some people, they just want a user interface. They want a ability to save. They want ability to organize their work, right? Postman allows you to do all that, and you're going to see that right now. What I want you to do next is go ahead, download Postman, and then let's open it up together. You know, one thing to highlight real quick is when we're talking about APIs, and this might be a good thing to do while you're downloading Postman, is understand APIs power everything on the web, guys. So if you think of Amazon, look, I've been on this wallet kick lately. I've been talking about making my own because I feel like no one really has it down yet. But you look at wallets, you look at these things I bought, things I'm looking at, right? Invincible, let me know if you like that show. These are all data elements on this website. And I guarantee you the way Amazon works is multiple calls to retrieve. These are the items where you left off. These are your keep shopping for items. There's probably a customer API that has all my customer information with my customer ID. There's probably an orders API. There's probably a favorites API, like API modularity, which I'm so sorry. I might have jumped ahead because you might be wondering, Caleb, I don't really know what APIs are. So let's cover that real quick. I actually talked to my boy GBT here, and you can see APIs are application programming interfaces, and they're really just a set of rules, protocols, and tools for building software and applications. They really enable integration, simplification, because they're abstracting pieces. Again, the customer stuff is the customer stuff. The order stuff is the order stuff. You don't need customer and order kind of all mixed up because it wouldn't make sense. Modularity, because you organize things, it allows you to create modular software, which allows you to easily replace things when they break, when they need to be updated, when they need to be augmented, whatever. And then, yeah, from a security standpoint, there's some benefits. So that is more or less what an API is. Now, I hope you've downloaded Postman now. Let's hop over there. So what I want to do next is let's focus on sending a request. And sending a request is pretty straightforward. We're not going to worry about any of this on the left-hand side. We're not going to worry about environments. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to sign in. I signed in. You don't have to. What I want you to do is hit that plus icon. We are going to do a simple send request to an API that Postman has already provided. And I want you to just more or less see why people like Postman. Before we dive into it any further, I want to make sure we cover what's in front of us here. These are your TTP methods, but you have get, post, put, patch, delete, head, and options. For this video, let's just focus on everything from get to delete, and this would be a part 2. Now, get is exactly what it sounds like. You are retrieving data. Post, you are sending new data to the API, like creating an account. Put and patch, depending on who you argue with, they're updating data. And then delete, of course, is deleting data. So what we are going to enter and type it exactly how I type it, Postman echo get. And just to highlight real quick, you see this little orange dot? You can save collections. If you did Command S, now you can save this request and we can call it our introduction. You don't have to be that elaborate. You get my point though. So see, now we have a collection. See, it's like nice and organized over here. Now all you have to do, and this is what people like most about Postman, is you hit the send button and look at that. You're a Postman expert. Hit that like button, subscribe, follow for more if you want breaking the tech. No, I'm just kidding, guys. We got a lot more. But let's talk about look, what happened here. So look, in this example, Postman is acting as a client application and is communicating with API servers. And so your Postman get is a request to the Postman echo API. So where is that bad boy? What does that look like? Postman echo API. Let's pull that up in a browser, actually. Postman echo API. Just so you see here, this is the API we called, and this is great documentation on all the things you can do. Now, like I said earlier, Postman is just one way you can call an API. They actually are nice enough to provide it via curl. Let's just do that real quickly so you can see it for yourself. Okay, I'm trying not to mess this up. All right, so I've been using a new terminal called Warp. It's an AI terminal. It's actually nice. We probably review them next. There you go. So when you call the get method and you pass in these parameters, these query params, foo1, bar1, foo2, bar2, foo bar is the joke there. This is what we're more or less getting now. We copy that URL just so you guys can see, because we didn't do that exact same call. There you go. Okay, so it's just passing in those arguments. So that's all that it's doing. If you actually got rid of it, had nothing in the arguments. Makes sense. Okay, sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit here. What I really want to highlight is what has happened so far. The Postman sends the GET request to the Postman Echo API server located at postman.com. The API server retrieves that request, processes it, and then returns response back to Postman, which is all of this good stuff. And then Postman retrieved the response and displayed it in this what's known as the response plane. Gave us a status code of 200, standard response for a successful request, told us how long it took, the size, and if we want to save this as an example. Okay, now that we have done a Postman request, excellent job, by the way, let's actually write a test. So what I want to do is we want to make sure, hey, are you getting back status 200? Because 200 is pretty much A-okay, everything worked. Now, the way we go about creating tests is actually, if you see right here, this is like a open code editor. Now, to write a test, all you have to do is, again, create a request. We've already done that. And pretty much, I'm going to write some Postman code. Now, if you go to their documentation site, they will help you with examples of how to write additional tests to test your collection. But this one, just go with me here. We are pretty much going to call this a Postman operation. We're going to call tests, and we are going to try to hit send and see if our test pass. Test results, 1 for 1, pass. Nice. You've now done a Postman request. You've now written a test. You have more or less become a Postman expert, and you created a collection. If you would like to see us do a deeper dive into Postman, please let us know in the comment section below, and we can do a whole hour webinar if you want to. But for people who just want general sense, this is more or less Postman. You're adding requests. You can confirm requests by writing your own tests. You can have pre-requests. You can have settings. Everything really beyond here is just more customized to your development environment, because a lot of you are not going to have this open API. You're going to have to pass in something that gives you authentication and authorization. You might need to log in first and then call these certain things. It might be behind a firewall. So much can go into it. But to getting started, this is pretty much Postman, and this is why people like it. Okay, so one thing I want to do quickly is I do want to at least cover maybe some of the more advanced things that people might do with Postman. So, for example, depending on your organization and how you guys are structured, like I said, your development environment, there's a lot of things people really need. And if you go to the Enterprise Essential part, it gives you a sneak peek of what people use Postman for within organizations. One, it is a way to discover APIs. APIs are built so quickly and so easily nowadays. There's hundreds of APIs out there. And sometimes, this as an organization, startup, or big, small, medium, whatever, you need to find the services that are available to you. I only know about the Postman Echo collection because I'm creating this whole video. You maybe had no idea where that was. You work at somewhere, you need to know where the APIs are, and Postman is one way you can do that. They have the aspect of collaboration, but you can work on collections together. You can see here, create, get, delete, but they can talk it out, like what are the things they need to work on specifically. I'll be honest with you, some of these features I think are a great feature to offer from a business standpoint. I think honestly what you saw today though, which is how we did our simple call, it's really what a lot of people do and what a lot of people use Postman for. Now I do want to dive into our alternative so you have an idea here. So alternative to Postman, there is Samia, which is under Kong. There is, oh God, I don't like this one. API testing. Sorry, Smart Bear. I didn't have a good experience with Soap UI, but some people did. Oh, look at that. You can't even see anything. But yeah, Smart Bear has Soap UI, which is one way you can test APIs. I would say Insomnia is your big competitor to Postman, but really these two, I think, offer a free version of more or less what you saw today. So let me know in the comment section which one you prefer. All right, let's wrap it up real quick. Strengths and weaknesses of Postman. So in my opinion, when it comes to their strengths, it's really user-friendly. The interface is just amazing. I think people really like having a nice UI. It has an extensive feature set for API testing and development. Like I said, you can cover all your REST stuff, all your GraphQL stuff. Really, there's not a limitation. Strong community, definitely a strong community. But the weaknesses, it can be a little overwhelming for a beginner. What you saw today, I tried to keep it in a way where it's useful. And like you said, you just put it in the URL, you're hitting send. You want to do more, you can send and download. You can save this. You can, again, you can start messing around with some of these other things, but you just realize it's just building on top of this foundational piece right here. Some advanced features are only available on the paid plan. That's definitely a downside. And see, look, even here, like manual collection runners, storage unit. Yeah, again, a lot of this building with like, when you're working with like larger teams or you're sharing things, these things things come in handy. But if you're just testing, you're building something for yourself, this is pretty straightforward. There are occasional performance issues, but I think that's for large collections because, look, you might run a test where you call this endpoint like 50 endpoints, and then like after you do everything, did you create the customer or something like that? You can have that at the very end. Overall grade and recommendation, I would highly recommend Postman. Like I said before, this has been a tool I've used myself. So this conclusion real quick, Postman, if you just need to call API services and you want a GUI, you want a UI, something pretty, you can use Postman. It's free, people love it, people are going to continue to use it. If you want to get advanced with it, you can build real world solutions, like you can build Postman workflows, which are pretty much just like another way of taking all your API calls to another level. Like they are offering, they've really expanded Postman. But yeah, as you see, it's truly an API platform. So everything from flows to a postbot to tooling behind it, I would say this is a solid tool. But what did we miss? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section below. Check out.